Good morning, everyone. Whether you are with us live today here on Zoom, on Facebook Live, or you are watching the recording, I hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal day. Yesterday, we really dug in one of our last sessions into really understanding a little bit more around setting our goals with certain profit in mind. Right, really setting goals around how much we want to make and what we need within our lives. And so we're going to take that a little bit further today into what we were talking about yesterday with the economic model of the millionaire real estate agent. But I really want to walk you through how do you utilize some of the tools that are at your disposal to track and truly track and see your goals. So we're going to be taking a look at that today. And really, when we talked a little bit yesterday around just having this idea of how do we create wealth in our lives and all those things that wealth might mean for each and every one of us. I hope that you guys went and kind of did the exercise, did the homework yesterday to come up with that profit number so that you can plug and play as well as we kind of walk through this. Now, I'm going to go through this in two ways. I'm going to go through and actually show you guys some of this so that you're able to see it and follow along in command. If you have your computer with you, then this is going to be a great time to kind of open up that second screen and follow along in command, right? The other piece is I'm going to be kind of talking it out as well. So if you have a notepad, a piece of paper, then we can kind of talk through some of the numbers around that as well. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared with you guys. Awesome. So excuse my million tabs that are kind of opened up, but we're logged into command. So if you're just logging into command now, you're going to go ahead and click the KW here at the top. And I want you specifically to click on the reports dashboard. Right. And so this is going to be a little bit technical, but I want to share why this section of command is so important, right? It's really important is when we look at our business and we truly look at our databases and we look at the opportunities that we have, what we know is that when we build a big business and we follow the models of the millionaire real estate agent, that's going to give us a business that is scalable, a business that is predictable. There is a difference between go out and chasing transactions and being a real estate practitioner, right? And having a predictable business and being a real estate business owner. And our goal is to make sure that you're in a place where you can build a real estate business. So a couple of things just to note on this dashboard. This really gives you an idea of your overall database health, how many records. It's going to define that by contacts as well as leads. So a couple of things that's going to be a little bit different here that I want you guys to understand. We've been taught for a really long time in the real estate business that a lead, right? That a lead was when somebody is ready to move forward. I'm gonna flip that on its head, and what I want to share with you guys is going to be a little bit different. I want you to look at your business like a funnel, right? I want you to look at your business like a funnel. I'm going to stop share for a little bit, and we'll get back to that screen. But I want you to think about your business like a funnel. At the top of the funnel are the leads. These are the individuals that might be interested in buying or selling. They could be somebody that comes in as a Facebook lead. It could be somebody that walks in at an open house pre-COVID, right? It could be somebody that walks in an open house pre-COVID. It could be somebody that is somebody that's calling on a sign, right? It could be expireds. It could be FSBOs. All of those individuals are leads. Here's the piece. Those leads, we have not necessarily earned the opportunity to a two-way contact yet, right? They are not a contact. They are not part of our METs database. They're primarily a haven't met. What I would truly define a MET as, a true contact in our database, is somebody that I have had a two-way conversation with, that I've really started building up the opportunity, that I have at least 3 pieces of contact information for, right? So that I have contact information, 3 pieces, that if someone else called them on your behalf and said, hey, I'm calling on behalf of Wendy. She wanted me to check in and see how you're doing. I'm calling on behalf of Ned. I'm calling on behalf of Esther, that they would know who you are. That's a true MET, right? That's a true person in our database that's going to help to drive referral business. What we know to be true is that as we build a database of those individuals, right, of those people that we have 3 or more pieces of contact information for, right, that we are able to truly have that relationship, that somebody else could call on our behalf and they would know who we were, right, because we are touching them so much. When we truly have a database that looks like that, that's where we get predictable referrals, right? That's where we should be getting a return on our database all the time. How do we do that? Well, we build the database itself by putting them into command. We do our 4 quarterly calls, right? They get emails from us, the biweekly neighborhood nurturers, right? They might be getting some type of newsletter or social media content from us regularly. That's how we build that up. But I want to differentiate between the idea of a lead, a contact, and then here's the next one. When somebody actually raises their hand and says, yes, I think I might be interested in buying or selling, that then becomes an opportunity, a buyer or a seller opportunity. So think about the funnel here, right? Leads come in, they turn into contacts or people in our database, and we nurture them with our 36 touch. From there, we identify buyer and seller opportunities. And from the stage where there are opportunities, that's then when we have appointments, right? When we have contracts, when we have escrows, and then finally when we have closings at that bottom of the funnel. So that's the first piece I want you guys to understand, and why this piece of command here that's going to give you your database health, right, is so important, because it's going to track who you've identified as a contact, who you've identified as a lead, and then it's going to give you your health score. Do you have phone numbers, emails, address, neighborhoods, birthdays, home anniversaries? So you can see I have a fairly okay health score, but I'm missing a lot of home anniversaries. I'm missing a lot of birthdays, right? And then you can see your activity that you'll be able to start tracking within here as well. What we're going to jump into first is going to be here in goals. I want you guys to go ahead and select goals if you're following along. What happens within this system here, right, is it's going to give you the number of, based on whatever goals or metrics you had set, it'll give you an annual goal into the number of leads. So this is going to be, this might be Facebook leads, the number of conversations that you have over the course of a year to feed your database, right? To feed your database, to build a database that has enough true contacts, right, that you could get to a place where you're generating the business that you want to generate, right? That you want to generate. So that's going to be when we're doing like our cold calls, right? Or when we're doing Facebook lead advertising. Now I had a big number in here, so I'll know, right? It gives me a certain number. The leads piece is only important to build the database to where I need it to be, right? Once my database is where I need it to be, then we know what? We know now I can go in and start working through, okay, how many appointments do I need to be setting to appointments kept? When you come in here the first time, I want you guys to go ahead. You're going to click goal settings, and it's going to open up your Kelly guide. Now, I'm going to go through this and you can follow along and take some notes on it. And then I highly recommend going through this and kind of doing the analysis as well. This entire guide is going to walk you through it, right? It's going to go ahead and walk you through it. So we go ahead and click on to get started. And the first thing that's going to happen is it's automatically already going to have some numbers in here, right? We're going to click next year because we're setting for 2021. And then we know, right, that depending on whatever your profit goal might be, I'm going to go ahead and do one at 250, right? Somebody that's looking at making 250,000 in annual profit, right? In annual profit. So that's a profit goal, right? That's going to be a profit goal. Then here, when we start looking at our expenses, so I want you to really understand the difference between your expenses and your cost of sales. Cost of sales is going to be things like what comes out of a transaction itself, right? What's actually going to come out of a transaction. So splits, franchise, those type of things are going to be cost of sales. Now, because we're a cap model, we have a fixed cost of sales, right? You have a fixed cost of sales. The cap less the franchise fee, right? It's fixed. Expenses are going to be those things that you actually pay throughout the year. So this year might actually be a little bit higher. What do we know? We know that every January, December, January, we pay for our renewal with the association, right? We know that that's going to be about $900, right, per year. Plus, if you have a super key, we know our super key is what? $15 times 12. That's 180, right? You have your monthly 35 times 12. Those are going to be things that you want to add up, right? Now, if you're paying for any additional services, aside from the Downey Association, aside from the MLS, are there any marketing expenses, right? Are you planning on buying new signs this year? What marketing pieces or is your cost of just doing business, the expenses, right? Not that comes from a transaction, but the cost of actual sales. So you're going to go ahead and average that all up. I'm going to be conservative on this one. And I'm going to say, not necessarily a super big business, but I'm going to say, hey, maybe my expenses are, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and at this point, I'm going to put 5,000, right? I'm going to put 5,000, a conservative piece in here, but I want to go ahead and note that in, right? So you can see this number here is already changing because now it's putting your profit goal, it's adding in your expenses, and it's adding in your cost of sales, right? So it's starting to give you that piece. Now, the next piece here is going to be the business makeup. For some of you, you're going to say, hey, I want to do 50%, buyers, and I want to do 50% listings. Some of you are going to say, you know what? I want to do more listings. And so I'm going to do 80% listings and 20% buyers, right? Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you know that your network right now is primarily buyers. That's just the sphere of influence that you have. And so maybe you're saying, you know what? I'm going to do 25% listings and 75% buyers. You can play with this however you want to give yourself the breakdown based on what your goal is, right? Based on what your goal is for 2021. I really want you to work off of a goal here. So if your goal is to increase the number of listings taken, then maybe you want to bump up that goal, right? Maybe you're saying, hey, you know what I'm going to do this year? I want to do 60% listings and 40% buyers. If you're doing any leases, right? If you're doing any leases, you can add those in here as well, right? I know some of you don't do leases, so I'm going to leave that one blank because I know we probably only have a few people that do leases. Most of you are focusing on the listing and buyers. So I'm going to go with the 60% listing, 40% buyer. The next thing you're going to note right down here is we need to look at our average commission. Now, for some of you, this might be the same across the board, right? On the listing and buyers. For some of you, you might take a higher commission when you work with listings. So if we're going off a $575 average price point, right? That's a little bit conservative right now, but I'm going to go off a 575 average price point. And we know that the average commission right now is about 2.5%. Then that's going to give me 14,375, right? 14,375. So I'm going to put that in here, 14,375 as the listing commission amount. This is going to be the average gross commission, right? Now let's look at that. On buyers, what if my average price point is still 575, and yet I'm only getting and seeing on the market a 2% commission instead of a 2.5? Well, that's going to give me 11,500, right? If you are working a higher price point area, then you want to make sure that this is going to be reflective of that, right? What I'm going off of numbers wise here is on the listings, a 575 price point at a 2.5 commission. On the buyers, we're doing a 575 price point at a 2% commission, right? So that's where I'm getting my numbers from. But this is going to be more relevant to what you're seeing in your business. If you are working a higher price point or if you're working a lower price point, if the commission that you're achieving on your listings is higher or if it's lower, you want to go ahead and calculate that in, right? But we're just going to do our average commission per unit here. And then we're going to click next. Your first time doing this, it's going to have some numbers in there already. Some of those numbers are the national averages, right? So I'm going to note that. Now, remember I talked about the funnel, you guys, right? We've got leads, people that have shown interest but haven't engaged, contacts, people that we've had a two-way conversation with and have established a value relationship. We have our actual appointments set, appointments kept, agreements are under contract, and our closed units. Here's the piece that I'm going to note here. The percentages that are already in here are the default, right? They're default. These default rates are below what is on average. So they're lower than average because it's wanting to give you an estimate, right? It's wanting to give you a higher estimate. Now, if you know that if you do 10 calls a day, right? If you do 10 calls a day, and of those 10 calls, you actually have a two-way conversation and add one person to your database, then that's what? A 10% conversion. If you do 10 calls a day, and from that, you add 2 people to your database, we know that's a 20%, right, conversion. So you're going to want to note that in here, right, on your leads to contacts. Now, 5% assumes essentially that for every 20 conversations that I have, only one becomes a contact, only one goes into my database. I know that's probably going to be different for you guys, right? So you want to kind of come up with what is that conversion rate for you, or you can leave the default, right? You can leave the default if you want to leave the defaults in here. Now, here's the next one. For contacts to actual appointment set, this one might be a little bit different. When you're doing follow-up, right? When you're doing follow-up and you're calling the people that are in your sphere, in your database, how many contacts does it take to set an appointment? Maybe this is higher for you. Maybe this is less for you, right? What does that look like for you? I'm going to leave this at 5% for this model. So what that's saying is that for every 20 contacts, right, of people that are in my database, that'd be one appointment set, right, at a 5% conversion. So it's going to be the next piece, right? Now, once we set an appointment, how many of them keep it, right? How many of them keep it? We know what happens. Something comes up, somebody reschedules, all of a sudden an emergency comes up, whatever that might be. So 75%, I think, is a pretty good average here. That's assuming that for every 4 appointments I set, 3 of them are going to keep the appointment, right? 3 of them are going to keep the appointment. Now, appointments kept to actual agreements, right? Appointments kept to actual agreements. What does that conversion rate look like for you? Well, it's going to depend on how qualified the appointments are. right? If you have 4 appointments with people that really want to sell and they really want to move forward, or 4 appointments with buyers that really want to move forward and are ready, willing, and able, how many of them actually move forward, right? So, and sign an agreement, a listing agreement or a buyer representation agreement, right? If you're using buyer representation agreements. So in this particular example, it's giving a 75% conversion rate. Let's say that, you know, for every listing appointment you go on, they're interviewing one other person. And so you have a 50% chance. And for every buyer consultation you go on, half of them get pre-approved, half of them don't qualify, and they go in the pipeline. I'm going to actually drop this down to a 50% appointments kept to agreements, right? Appointments kept to agreements. Now the next one, agreements to under contract or pending. This is going to be the actual listings that go into escrow or the buyers that grow into escrow. I think 75% is a good conversion here, right? It's a good conversion here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. That I'd say is about the national average. And finally, under contract to actually closing. Now we know things happen during a transaction. A buyer goes out and they do what? They buy a car and all of a sudden they're not pre-approved anymore, right? Or an appraisal comes in low, or somebody loses their job because we're in a pandemic and they can no longer qualify to move forward. Whatever might happen, I'd say 75% here is going to be a pretty good average, right? Now, you may find that your conversion rate for under contract to closed units is higher than this. You might be a phenomenal problem solver. And so maybe this is closer to 80% for you, right? Whatever that is, you're going to want to note this in here, right? You're going to want to note that in here. So we're going to go ahead and save and continue. Okay. So it's going to give me a breakdown of my conversion rates here. We're going to exit out of here and we actually want to go and look at your goals now. So we're going to click view my goals. And what it's going to give you, oh, let's see, let me go in here. So I'm going to know, here we go. So it's going to then set this for you, right? It's going to set this for you. So it's going to give you an annual profit goal. It's going to give you an annual leads goal. It's going to give you a contacts goal, right? An appointment set goal, an appointments kept goal, your agreements goal, your under contract goal, and your closed units goal, right? Now I'm going to note, here's the cool thing about it, guys, is as you're doing activities in Command, as you're marking people as leads, it's going to track that for you, right? It's going to track that for you. You're going to see your leads year to date. It's going to track your contacts year to date. As you set appointments and you utilize opportunities and you put in the dates of the appointment set and the appointments held, it's going to track that for you too. When you take an agreement and you put in the contract date in the opportunity, it's going to track it. When you go under contract and you put that in the opportunity, it's going to track it. And as you have a closing in the system, it's going to track it, right? It's going to track it so that you can see where you are year to date, right? And you'll be able to see the activities. You're going to be able to see the actions in real time for your goals, right? For your goals. You can also see it by month, right? You can see it by month. So I'm going to note, I'm going to just show you really quickly in opportunities what that looks like and what data this is pulling from right now. So I had shared with you guys that one of my goals, right, is to close referral transactions, right? Referral transactions. So I put in my transactions throughout, and I can have people that I'm potentially working with, right? And then I may have clients that closed, right, that are in, all referred out. As we go in and we play with the dates here, right? And potentially clients that we're watching. As we go in and we start playing with the dates within these clients, these dates, appointment scheduled, appointment date, agreement one, contract date, as we edit that, that's what's reporting, right? That's going to be what's reporting. So this is going to be really useful for you guys as you start using a bit more of the opportunities. So I know we went a little bit long. I know today was a little bit more technical. We live streamed this video into the hub for you, right? Because I want you to be able to follow along as you're setting these goals for yourself at home. If you haven't done the exercise around figuring out your profit yet, or you have any questions about this, right, and how to go ahead and do this, let me know, right? I'm happy to help you guys walk through it again. But I really want you to have that profit goal in mind, because Command is going to help you to track your goals, right? Consistently. It's going to help you to know that you're on track and that you're moving forward. And it's going to show you that in real time. If you have a team, it'll show you that for your team as well, right? It's going to show you that for your team as well. So this piece is really, really powerful because when we used to do the economic model, we used to do it on a big old sheet of paper, right? And we used to do it in a big old Excel spreadsheet. And now it is literally built into the system for you, right? It's literally built into the system for you. So with that, a lot that we covered today, right? And the reason that we do goal setting like this, and we really want to come up with those numbers, is because having a better understanding of that is going to then allow us to create our GPS based on the numbers. Because now we can go in, and if I know, I need to have a database of 1,000 people, well, now I can set a goal for how many people do I need to add into that database on a monthly basis? How many people do I need to add on a daily basis? I'll know. I've actually broken this down for myself. Mine is a little bit more complex because I'm doing mine on the basis of referrals only, right? Of referrals only. And when I truly broke it down by activity, for me, it's 2 people, right? 2 people a day to add to the database for me to get the referral income that I'd like to get, which I was able to go and do the numbers and now set that from an activity perspective. That's not crazy, right? That's not crazy. So we want to really look at what does that look like for you and your business so that you have hyper clarity, so that you can work on the next element of it, which is the business plan piece, right? Which is the actual 1-page business plan that will dictate the activities that you should be doing on a daily and a weekly basis, right? So a lot today, very technical, but it's very important, right? As we go into October, as we're getting through October and really working on what is 2021 gonna look like for us, this is really that starting piece. If you want any additional help or support on this, feel free to reach out to me. We can do this again, and the video is going to be here in the hub for you as well. With that, I hope you guys have an absolutely phenomenal day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.